how to handle the family conflicts and the emotional turmoils, the emotional blackmailing and the emotional system that goes on somewhere within. It is a strong family politics. It can be a family tie, it can be a fight, it can be a situation of an emotional blackmail, it can be a situation where a person is very, very sick and you have to choose between your duty and your self-interest. It is about the emotional link that we have with the family. We have to come to know of something, and we need to come to terms with a fact that whenever a person is born, the person is born with a mother and a father, and slowly the person gets introduced to the family ties. And most of the times it so happens that unfortunately a person comes in this universe, it takes place, it comes in this existence, and after taking birth, he or she loses the mother or loses both the parent. Then the person stays in the orphanage. But there also there are certain kind of ties that come into existence. Here there is a small thing that we ignore, but this is the root cause, and this is something that channelizes within us throughout, and it is the genes. We may stay with our parents, we may not stay with our parents and stay somewhere else. It is the DNA, it is the genes that are in action whenever as you grow, especially when you are very, very young, you are in your early childhood. Then your cognition development increases, then your cognitive development increases, your cognition increases, and as you grow, with the increase and the growth of your cognition, you are in your middle childhood and then your adolescence and then adulthood. If you note those years, if you note any of the years of your siblings or of your children or of your own self, if you look back, you will have certain memories that will tell you that at that point of time in your early childhood, you were guided completely with a network, and the network of genes and the DNA. Your interests, your hobbies, whatever you felt like doing, whatever you felt like having, the way you behave, the kind of faces that you made, the kind of reactions that you gave, the kind of impulses that you do, whenever it is about the impulse, whether you're in your early childhood or middle childhood, whenever it is about impulse, the impulse when comes into play, it is the DNA, it is the genes, it is a genetic reaction that comes into play. And this is something that we have to come in terms with, because at the end of the day, genetically, it is the DNA, it is the chromosomes which is contributing in the growth and the population of this world, and one cell is getting multiplied. That is how this existence is functioning, this is how the existence has come into action, and this is how the Supreme Consciousness has designed that this will continue to go ahead in this way. So DNA is something that we cannot do a goodbye with, we cannot bid a farewell to our DNA. But then how? There many a times it is said that it is the atmosphere and it is the upbringing that has the command and has the ultimate say. It is the mixture of the upbringing, because whenever you are introduced at the world, you are equipped only with your DNA, you are equipped with your organs, you are equipped with a particular intelligence, that is the cosmic intelligence directly connected with your subconscious. And because you have not yet exposed your mind to the world and to the illusion of the world, to the bitterness of the world, and to the day-to-day activities of the world, so the worldly affairs have not been able to influence you yet when you are a child. And when, especially in your early childhood, it has not been able to influence you. So your subconscious is very, very raw, organic, thereby directly in sync with that cosmic universal intelligence. As you grow, you meet different friends, you have your share of relatives, then you understand your parents communicate you, they give you certain teachings, and this is the way we get exposed to the worldly affairs, to the illusion and to the positives and the negatives of the society and the world. And slowly it is the conscious mind that comes into action, and the subconscious somewhere gets timid, the subconscious somewhere shuts its doors towards that conscious mind, and the link here of the conscious and the subconscious breaks. So DNA is coming into action, but slowly, because it is getting mixed with the teachings, with the atmosphere that you are in. So now the mix of the DNA and the atmosphere you've been provided with is shaping your character, is shaping the kind of human being you will be, and is shaping your intelligence somewhere, how you're going to react, how you're going to react to a particular situation, how am I going to talk, how am I going to behave, and how am I going to polish myself gradually. It is the awareness factor. Whenever there is a family conflict, we have to take help of the spiritual science and determine something, that how to deal with family conflict. Why is family at all? How did family come into existence? Because in Gita it is said clearly that you are born, you come in this existence alone, and you will go back alone. There is nothing that you can take away along with you except your karma, that is your deeds, whatever we have done. So how does family come into existence? When you dwell on different religious books, on different religious studies and different spiritual and religious texts, we will come to know that family ties have been focused on, and we have been guided to follow the family ties and try not to break it. Even if a family member chooses to break ties with you, it is always guided and encouraged that you make that effort, you make that attempt in a way that you do not break up with the family tie, and you carry on that family tie. Why? Because it is the family, then it is the first family, that is your parents and the child, then comes the extended family, then comes the relative, and then comes many other cousins, relatives, friends, and community, and then society. Because a person cannot survive alone. A person can survive alone, but socially a person cannot survive alone, because it is the society. It is the barter system. In the earlier times, there was this barter system. There was no money. Barter system is when you are in need of something, your neighbor has something that you don't have, and you have something that the neighbor doesn't have. You exchange it for good, and then you fulfill your needs. So this is how the world is running. This is how the entire marketing chain and the entire consumer and seller relationship is working. So where does family come into existence, and why is materialism being a part of family now? Families come into conflict, there are family fights, there is a family court. Why? To solve the conflicts that takes place within the family. Property conflicts, family fight over property, they fight over the will of the father, they fight over the will of the property, they fight over basic relationship issues. It is a divorce case that takes place, it is a child abuse that takes place. Within family, there are certain unfavorable situations, unfavorable conditions, and unfortunate scenarios. Then that particular family goes and approaches the family court. But what about the court of life? What has the court of life and the court of universe, the court of the universal law, the court of that supreme consciousness, that court of that God guided us, and what is it telling us? We have to make a study, and we have to take the help of spiritual books and get very clear about one thing. Everything is not about the court of law, because the court of law can pass a judgment and tell you that this comes under crime, this comes under criminal section, and this comes under this is not a crime. But every crime which is not a sin you cannot get away with. So crime is something that you avoid doing. But every sin might not be a crime in the court of law, but you need to avoid doing it. Because it is ultimately that consciousness, it is ultimately the deed that comes into picture, it is the karma that comes into picture. So we don't get punished by the court of law for every sin, but every sin has its punishment in the eye of that supreme consciousness, and as they say, karma gets back in this world and the world hereafter, if you believe in. And if you don't believe in, then nothing matters. The only difference between a believer and a non-believer is a person is consciously aware that there is God. A non-believer will think there is no God, so he will be a theist. And on the other hand, a person will be mindful. He chooses to be neither a believer nor a non-believer nor a theist or an atheist. He chooses to be agnostic. Agnostic is there might be something, there might not be some power. So he will take decision accordingly, and he will be mindful. At the end of the day, in order for a family to survive and protect itself from the family conflicts, it is about understanding the nature of the family. What is family for? Why is family bonds important, and why we should try and make an effort to keep those family bondings? Because at the time of emotional unrest, at the time of whenever you are falling alone or whenever when you're going wrong, it is the family that you look back for a support. Now this is where human goes wrong. You have expectation and you look back and you choose to depend on the particular family member. This family member will solve my problem. I don't have money, this relative will give me money. I don't have a good thing to do, so that relative will help me with a good advice. My life is not going well, that relative will fix my problem. And if the relative is not fixing the problem, then you break the ties. The relative is not booked because he is now coming in the way of our interest. And whenever anything comes in the way of our interest, human reaction naturally is, I am going to rebel, I am going to fight back, because I am a very selfish person and human selfishness has no limits. Animal selfishness still has some limit, but human selfishness has no limits. When human selfishness sees that any family member is coming in the way of his interest, then he will firstly make an attempt to break the ties. We have to understand one thing, be aware of the rights. If you want to break the tie with the karma and become a karma yogi, then we have to consciously make our minds to know that who has how much right on what. And everybody, our entire family, if you choose to agree on one thing, that yes, this is a particular set of norms, particular set of rules I will follow, then this particular set of rules is the discipline, and this discipline will slowly enable you to resolve your family issues and your family conflict. If your sibling chooses to cut off your ties, at least you make an attempt to have a conversation, have a healthy relationship with that particular sibling or a particular uncle or aunt or whatever relationship you are having, you're sharing with that family tie. Because that family tie, it is not about having group, it is not about being a part of a particular community or having groupism, but it is about valuing that family tie that has been gifted to you by the Supreme Consciousness. If the Supreme Consciousness has blessed us with a particular family tie, then we have to take it as a command of the Supreme Consciousness and we have to value it. We need to at least value his gift, even if we don't value that family member. When this obedience comes in our mind that I will value this particular family tie given to me because it is a gift that has been given to me, many people don't have it, then we will look at the positives. We will focus on appreciating each other and we will focus on the appreciation factor, which is in nowadays falling short, and we choose only to take out flaws. And it is not one-sided, this is a two-sided thing. If you continuously appreciate a family tie, the family tie or that relative in return is not appreciating you and taking out only nooks inside you and taking out flaws within you, then at the end of the day, at some point of time consciously you will feel that no, there is something wrong. I am going on appreciating this person, but this person is not praising me back, he is not taking out good points in me and he is taking out all the negatives within me. Then you have to understand one thing, that person must have been in the clutches of that satanic power, of that evil, of that negative urja, of that nakaratmak urja, but you are appreciating that person in order to take out the best from that person and not to take out the demon of that person. Because they say that within a person there is Ram and there is Ravan, both. Ram and Ravan, that is evil and good, both are a part of a human being. So if you appreciate a person, you are encouraging the Ram within the person, you are encouraging the goodness within the person. And if you try to take out flaws within that person, that you are encouraging the evil within that person. So you are doing your karma and you are doing not to please that person, not to come in the good books of that relative, and not for your personal profit or in personal interest, that this is where I need money, that relative should give me money, whenever I am in need that relative should help me. That relative is performing the duty, the said duty or not, you are performing your duty and you are paying respect to the Supreme Consciousness with this intention. When we fulfill our family duties, we are rewarded big time, and this reward doesn't come from any human being, may it be family, may it be anybody. This reward comes to us from that Supreme Consciousness, and this is something you can experience in your day-to-day life by fulfilling your family duties. It is not going waste. And when we bring that Supreme Consciousness in picture, when we make up our minds that we have to be decent and good to the person, because this is a family tie and I respect this family tie because it is a gift to me from that Supreme Consciousness, then you are making a conscious connect and link with that Almighty, and reward is something that will come to us. Emotional stress will not be able to affect us in any way. We will not face the emotional turmoil in our day-to-day lives, because when we are clear that we are performing our duty and we are not letting any blame game come into action. The person doesn't want to share the property with me, I will make an attempt to get it. But if I see that no, things are going somewhere else, I will fight for my right in a very dignified and a decent manner, in such a way that I am not snatching away that person's right. I am sticking to only my right. When this intention is clear in your heart, and when you perform your family tie, you perform your duty towards your family, we will see how rewarding it is. We will see how de-stressing it is, and we will see how the family bonds will increase, because people, your family members, will begin to respect you. They will see that unconditionally you're fulfilling your duty and you're standing by your right. It is not that you gift away your right to any of your family member. You gift away your space, your personal space, the right to live with respect to your family member. If you have encountered a family member who is of a nature, who every time takes out nooks in you, who every time takes out some flaws in you, very dignified way, make very clear to the person that you are not getting affected and you will not take this nonsense. Neither will you give nonsense, neither will you take nonsense. Keep your intent very clear, be dutiful towards the family, and then you see how the family ties improve, because with improved family ties, our day-to-day living standard gets improved. The day-to-day life that we are going and socializing, that activity of socializing, when we look for friends in the outside world, our interpersonal relationships can never improve with the outside world if with our own family members we are breaking our ties and we are thinking, okay, I deserve somebody better. It is that Almighty who has given you already a family. If you are not good with that family, then how can you expect to make friends elsewhere? And even if you successfully do it according to the entire basic norms of interpersonal relationships, you are not good at making interpersonal relationship. That can be a small passing affair, that can be a small phase of life when you've had good time with your friends, but at the end of the day you are weak at making interpersonal skills because you are not valuing relationships. And this applies to me, you, any human being who has come into this existence, because the basic difference between animals and human is that conscience that has been gifted to through that Almighty to us. It is from Him to us. We need to value it. Bread 41 days of life-changing course, life-changing experience, no dependency. What the slavery? Bread.